Hey guys, Anthony, 4x4 Diesel. This is not just a vehicle inspection, we're going to quickly go through front to rear on the usual things we look at. This is one we've just done injectors on yesterday. That's why there's a bit of fuel sitting there, because when you do the injectors, that's what you get. That's why it needs a good wash up, clean up afterwards, which we haven't done yet because we didn't want water dripping all over us while we do the inspection. This one is the one that had original injectors in it, blow by on 2 of them. I think from memory it was 1 and 3, and they were a bit stuck, and we really want to, we didn't show the readings in a video, but we're going to show the readings towards the end of this video, is the plan, just so we can try and compare what's what, and we suspect it may have some sort of remap or a tune or something. So there's going to be a bit of other information here, but we're just going to go through a few of the things we see in front of us at the moment. This has got some big tyres, I think 295 70s, and it's got some steel rims, obviously with different offset. And if you're going to do that, and I'm not recommending it, but if you want these big tyres, and the big KM3s look awesome, right? So pretty good on the tracks, but you're going to need some different offset, otherwise the tyres hit the upper control arms there. See on that edge up there? Plenty of room on these. I'd probably suggest you need less offset. I don't like changing the offset. The Toyota engineers come up with a reliable offset for the wheel bearing here. Look, you know, whatever, each to their own. Typical bit of grease coming out the CV boots. It's got the old Dobinson's monotubes. When I say old, they are, these ones are probably 2016 or 17 or something like that. So this is a good opportunity to take a look and go, well, you know, they're still in here, they're still working, we don't see any problems with them. What are the bushes like after many years, right? You can see they're not mushed out. The Dobinsons are one of the best bushes we've seen, like the Genuine. The Genuine and the Dobinsons, let's have a look up there, you know, looks pretty dry to me, other than the normal road grime and mess that's been sprayed onto it. Same thing on the drive shaft, a little bit of grease, the usual sort of thing. But you can see he's got a diff drop there as well, because depending what you run in here, these are the 220s, so these are also used in the Hilux. The 220s do give you a bit more extension. They're listed for the 120 Prados and the Hiluxes, the 220. Right, so the part number there, oh, what are they? IMS 5950 whatever. I just call them 220s. I don't remember the rest of the number. I prefer the 700s, a little bit less travel, but you know, more reliable setup, that you're not going to put too much angle on the CVs, and you then don't need to do this, right? Because what happens is, so there's no bash plate on here. It's probably because he hasn't got one that fits yet. It doesn't fit anymore, because what happens is, well, maybe there's just no bash plate on this vehicle, because by the look of the bugs and that, he probably hasn't even taken it off for us to do an inspection. It's probably how it is. See all these sort of marks here? It looks to me like, you know, it's been like that a while. So basically, you know, you have too much travel, then you get too much angle on your CVs, and then you go, oh, I've got to fix that, so I've got to drop the diff. So then you've got to spend more money and put these diff drop brackets, and then you've got to spend more money and get a bash plate that suits the diff drop, and then the bash plate comes down more to clear these, and then you haven't got the clearance. So what was the point of having more travel in the first place? So back to plan A, stick with suspension that the full extension doesn't put too much angle on the CVs, and that's looking pretty good like that. It'd be interesting to see what it looked like without those spaces in there. That's why, look, you know, you can run either. This is what's listed for it. This is the conundrum we got, and these are often more available. The 220s are more available than the 700s. The 700s, they cost a bit more because they come with a bush for the 150 Prado, so we have to do a bush swap. That means the bushes need to be pressed out, so it's a bit of work to do that. Sometimes they're quite tight, and of course it costs us the bush. So, you know, it adds probably, you know, a little bit of money to if you want the 700. So if you're going to order suspension off me for Prados from now on, please specify whether you want the 700s, which is my preference, but it's not a big deal. You can, I think there's only a few millimeters in anyway. Otherwise you're going to end up with a 220 for your Hilux, or the front of your Hilux, or your 120 Prado. Anyway, a bit of side information there. Diff drop spaces, whatever. Not a fan. I don't know. There you go, 2018. Okay, this 1KD done about, what, bit over 200,000 Ks, 213 if I remember correctly. Bone dry up under here, other than from the fuel or whatever. Probably just needs a bit of a clean up, so that's good. No play in the wheel bearings. That, like I said, that's just, the wetness is just from the fuel from the injector job. We've got a 6-speed manual here. Alright, so we don't see those too often, so let's have a look around. We don't have the oil leaking out from between the transfer case on this one. Some do, some don't. Very minor, not worth fixing usually. Let's come to the back here. It's got that plug there that, you know, looks like it's not really leaking, just wetness from the injector job again. Everything up there looks all right. We'll have a bit of a look around off camera as well. Some aftermarket. Oh, so that tells us something. We can have a look inside the vehicle and see what's mounted there. That could be a chip or something, or someone's plugged something in there. Interesting spot. I'm not thinking too hard about it, but something's been installed in the vehicle for that to be mounted there, so we'll keep that in mind. Because that could be, the vehicle's responsive, particularly down low. It doesn't have extra top end, but it's responsive down low. But this could be, you know, why? Because look, here we are. We've got a bigger exhaust straight away, right? The turbo looks good. Let's just have a look around there. Usual stuff. No oil. Big pipe. No catalytic converter. Big pipe. One muffler. Big pipe. Big pipe. Big pipe. That's it. So one muffler and a big pipe. So that could be helping the turbo spool up a little bit quicker, and why it seems to be a bit more responsive down low. Excuse me. But we're not sure yet. We need to do a little bit more. Have a look on the diagnostic tool. The add-on mud flap's not a bad idea if you're going to have big fat tyres to keep it legal. Yeah, because you're not meant to have more than 300mm from the bottom of your mud flaps, whatever. So especially with those big tyres, because you attract more attention like that. Big noisy tyres, black, you know, steel rims and big mud tyres. All the brakes. See how easy it is to check the brakes. Look at that with this offset. We've got to love that, right? Now that's the problem. It's put the wheels way out there. It puts a different load on the bearings. So the bearings, they've got an inner and an outer to them, right? So you're putting more load on one side than the other. So anyway, we'll move on from that. The Donaldson's rear IMS in there as well, looking good. Let's just check, you know. It hasn't seen the off-road that our vehicle's seen, even though it's been around a lot longer, because like most people, it doesn't go the places we go. So if it does, it needs those Kaon shock guards, kaon.com.au. No leaks at the shock absorbers. Right, there it is. Even got the boot off here, you can see. Bone dry in there. No issues. These seals, they are really good. There's the shockers, right? Obviously that needs to be re-zip tied. We didn't do this installation. First time the vehicle's been in. You can see a bit of oil on the bottom of the diff. I don't know if that's someone's done an oil change, and you can see the fuel hose that we talk about on the 120s that excuse me, morning. It's the morning coronavirus. C19. Anyway, the wetness, because see the crack, see up the top there, right in the middle of the picture. I'm not going to zoom in because the other hand's holding the light, but I believe that when he fills up, there's a small amount of fuel leaking out this hose, and that's just going to get worse. So this fuel hose should be replaced. And a matter of fact, what month is it? February still. We said free fuel hose in the month of February with every injector kit. I might have even said something else in another video. That's for up to you to find if you wanted your free fuel hose. What I say is what I do, and what I do is what I say. So we're going to replace this fuel hose for free. That's another freebie, mate, sorry. Do you mind changing it for free?
Yep.
Okay, cool. You do mind, or you'll do it?
I'll do it.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Beautiful. So let's change that. Because technically you got an injector kit because you got an injector jog, so that gets done for free. Rear springs, everything's looking good. Have a look around. It's worth checking for broken springs because every now and then you might find one, especially with the heavier springs and the vehicles that do go off-road, you know what I mean? So, but these look pretty good. Rear pads, we saw those easy. No leaks at the rear wheel bearings or anything like that we can see. Like I said, maybe this could be just from the fuel filler hose. So this needs to be cleaned up. We change the hose and then we give it all a good clean up, and because this could be just from that. Over this side here, yeah, plenty of meat on those pads. Let's have a look at the bushes for the upper trailing arms. They look all right. Let's check the, of course we've got to check the other end as well. We're just showing you what we can show you on camera. Those are the upper trailing arms. These are the lower trailing arms. Bushes here are always okay. We're not going to go there. It's a bit like the front upper control arms. Never see a problem really. It's the lowers, so we haven't had a look at those yet. Let's have a look on this vehicle. I think these arms have been changed. They don't look like genuine arms, genuine bushes. I could be wrong. It looks legit from here. Why does that look so different to what they normally do? Unless someone's done the bushes on them and they've put them in the wrong position. That's probably what's happened, yeah. That's what I think's happened here. Somebody's changed the bushes, or they could be replacement arms, different brand, but it's hard to tell. It's just a piece of steel, isn't it, right? Hang on, let me be able to tell by the quality of the ball joint. Nah, aftermarket arms, so the arms have been changed. That's why the bushes look different and why they look okay at the moment, which is good. Little bit of twist in the front already. So pretty boring inspection really, not a lot to see here, but hopefully you learnt something from it. Front pads, plenty of meat there. Of course there's other things to check. This is just what we can show you in a video, and the main things to get you familiar with under the vehicle and the sort of things we check. Drive shafts, play in the wheel bearings, the inner rack ends, a little bit of play in the inner rack end. Did you say, mate? Do you mind giving this a wobble just while we are here, and we'll just see what it looks like. Tiny little bit. How about this one? Look, I'm not feeling it, I'm just going by visual and sound. Yeah, that's got movement in it. That whole thing's sort of wobbling up and down. Oh, that could be the movement side play in the rack as well, not to be confused. So you got to be careful you don't sort of... did that one feel alright to you, this side? So it was just the driver's side, yeah, that's right. So it sort of was wobbling up and down. That's okay because you know, you do get a bit of side movement in those, so that's cool. And obviously all these big wheels and tyres and offsets and that put other different pressure on things they weren't designed for, so you may obviously reduce the reliability. Anyway, let's finish up underneath the vehicle. We'll have a little bit to talk about under the bonnet and have a look at those final diagnostic readings once it's warmed up. Alright, it's on the ground now and we've found a couple other problems now. There was one problem underneath, I'm not sure if you saw it in the video, but I didn't see it while I was videoing, but we found the fuel tank breather. So the fuel tank breather up above the diff snapped off. So that will need to be replaced because it's been snapped off. Not good. So we'll obviously let him know about that and organise something. And it's hit the ground. We're just having a look around, you know, having a look around, having a look around, having a look around, having a look around, having a look around. What's going on? Look at that. They even bent that outwards. Have a look at that, eh? They bent that outwards instead of having it in where it's meant to be. That is just bizarre as anything also. Bend it out so they can zip tie it. Just get the clip, mate. Put another clip in there. Anyway, whatever. Have a look at this. So they've had that. There's been a bit of work done on this vehicle. Like first time we've seen it. But it looks like someone's replaced the wheel bearings. Probably some cheap Chinese ones, right? Like the control arms. Because, so you can see the steel. It looks fairly fresh. But you can see the rust, and I just reckon the genuine Toyota ones wouldn't rust that quick. But look, see what they've done? They've damaged the cap. They didn't follow my videos and they've damaged the cap getting it off. And it's open to fill up with water and dirt, rust and muddy water, and rust away in there and rust that drive shaft to the bearing. So next time somebody goes to work on it, not good. So what does it need? As a minimum, it's going to need new dust caps. Let's move on and see what else we can find. Batteries. We've talked about batteries before and the connections and the wires. Look at these loose wires just over the top of the airbox, you know, like not satisfactory. And I think the client, we've already briefly spoken about this. And you know, we already talked about the bolt underneath there and that one down there, and this wing nut's hardly on. It's on about one turn. It's just completely dodgy. But have a look at this, right? Batteries must be secure. If you drop the wing nut, this is the problem. These companies that make this cheap stuff made in China, right? They give you wing nuts. For a start, wing nuts are crap. You don't need to be able to undo it by fingers. It should just have a normal nut. And when I say normal, a nylock. I like nylocks on batteries. Why? Because you can do it up tight enough. A nylock's not going to come loose. I love nylocks on batteries and on these things here. No wing nuts. Get rid of the wing nuts. Get nylocks. I'll give you the tip. I don't know what thread this one is. But on batteries, they're usually 5/16, I think. Is that right? Let me think. Is that the one that's about like 8mm but not an Imperial? Yeah, 5/16. I'm just thinking this one through. Pretty sure it's like 8mm, very close, just a little bit bigger, but a different thread. It's about a 1.5 pitch thread sort of thing, but it's not metric. I wish they'd all just do this stuff in metric. This should be an M8, you know? This could be an M8. It could be all really simple, same. That may be the same as that, I don't know. But if that is the same as that by trying all your different nuts and bolts, go down to your nut and bolt shop and just say 5/16, you know, nylock, please, stainless steel, and you just put a flat, you know, a flat washer on there, not a spring washer. You don't need a spring washer. You got a nylon. Anyway, all this needs to be fixed up. It's untidy. Yuck. Look, now we're over the other side, and I'm starting to feel sick. Look, so you got the winch. It's good. There's a fuse isolated thing here, but as soon as you reconnect that, What if that red cable there's rubbed through and it goes down, it's rubbing on the bash plate down there, you know, just ridiculous really. Wires across the top of the battery that are in the way. Look at this connection, it's bent upwards facing the sky. On the battery terminal, pointing up, rubbing on the bonnet, it's a negative, so it doesn't matter so much, but neatly, people, neatly, I don't care who did this, neatly, and see all these connections and the fuse. And look at this fuse here. Can you open the fuse box? We need to check the fuses, mate. Can you please open the fuse box? Just grab the wire. You're just not going to be able to. Look at all the wires in the way. You're not even going to be able to get that lid off because all this is in the way. Oh, okay, give it up. All right. See what I mean? We can't access the fuses, you know, to check anything. You've really got to think hard before where you mount things. You know what I mean? Just be very careful. Think hard. The vehicle will burn to the ground if you get a short circuit and you haven't got a fuse in place. It's best to run the wires properly, neatly, go the longer route, use a bit more wire instead of straight across the fuse box, and plenty of this corrugated split tubing. It's good that you got it there, right? It's good to sum it up there, but we need it here as well down this end. Anyway, we need to get this vehicle running. Before we do, so just finishing off on the injector job, there was the wrong map filter there, the white one, which is for the 0506 Hiluxes. This bit of vacuum line does look like the right one. The correct one is a bit of hose and then a bit of plastic and then a bit of hose down here. We don't keep that in stock, so we've reused this bit of, this looks like Gardena actually, Gardena, you know, the little water gardening hose thing you get in Bunnings, whatever, which I don't mind actually, it's pretty good stuff because it's a bit thicker than your normal vacuum line. I don't know how it's going to last, but there's no kinks. It's on, it's sealed, happy days, right? It's actually, I'm pretty happy with that, so I'm not even going to say let's replace it, but we'll monitor the situation if we see it again, or let the client know to monitor that. And if he wants to just be 100% reliable, stick with the Toyota engineers and go to Toyota and say, look, can I please have the vacuum hose, the piece of plastic? It's going to cost you like 30, 40 bucks just for a bit of vacuum hose and a bit of plastic. That's why you don't take your vehicle to people that discard these things and put the wrong map filters on. It's just crazy. Got a nice new suction control valve down there as well. So in the middle of the picture, that shiny thing, because it had the short one and we all know they're rubbish. So we added a couple of extra zip ties to get these wires along the back up out of the way. But in no way, in my opinion, is that satisfactory and done. It's just temporarily secured out of the way so we could complete the works on the vehicle. Let's get the engine fully warmed up, get the road test done, and we'll come back to you and have a look at these readings and see what we find. Alright, so here we are inside the vehicle and I've got some really interesting information for those that bothered to stick around once again. How to work stuff out, and you don't need to have expert equipment. Let's have a look if I got the K's right. What did I say, 213 something? So that's right. Okay, first thing, bit of background information. The client was convinced that it's had a remap or tune. Okay, his friends that have driven the vehicle, they said, oh mate, the way it goes, it's definitely had a remap or a tune. So fair enough, I understand their feeling, and this is how a lot of people are going to think, and this is where I'm different to everybody else. So I drive the vehicle and I go, it's really responsive down low. And I actually said that to the client because he was waiting to get picked up by an Uber when I came back from my initial road test, just a couple of minutes. And I said, it feels like it's responsive down low, but it doesn't have any more top end. So to me, it doesn't seem like a remap or a tune. I said, leave it with me and we'll see. Anyway, we did our works, we did the injectors, we see they were never changed. We had a look around, there's no evidence of any chips or anything that we could see, piggyback type things that have been added on. So it left a ECU reflash type tune, if you know what I mean, tune, remap, whatever. So everybody thinks it's a remap. Anyway, we finished all the work. We're doing a couple of videos. We did the work. My assistant, he took it for a drive. He said, mate, beautiful, goes like a rocket ship. Definitely it's had a tune. Right, I go, well, that's interesting, because I'm still, it doesn't make sense to me. So then I want to work out if it's had a remap. So these are 3 easy ways that you can use, that I've used, to work out if the vehicle had a remap or not. The first thing I did is I gave it a good rev, and it blew a little bit of, look, they all vary. Some are super clean. It all depends on the condition of the engine, how well it's been looked after forever, how clean the air filter, the MAF sensor. There's lots of variables, right? Your EGR system, if it's standard or not, all this sort of thing. But I gave it a bit of a rev, and from what I saw, it didn't seem like it had a remap to me. There was a little bit of smoke, but I went, nah, you know, we've just worked on it. You're going to get a bit of that, you know what I mean? You get a bit of that after you've worked on it. Needs a good run, and then it'll settle in, and of course needs to fully warm up, you know. So just giving a little rev, and there was a bit of smoke, and I'm like, not much, but I don't. So the first way is give it a rev. All the remaps I've seen, you give it a rev and they blow all this smoke. It's terrible. It makes Toyotas look like Nissans and Audis and BMWs and all the other crappy diesels that are around, right? We support Toyota for quality product and a quality tune. That's the first thing we did. Now, I've got the aircon on and we need to turn that off, don't we? So we need to go, where's the off button hidden? Because there's a bloody photo here, it is. Hope I didn't get that in the video because a bit of privacy from a distance. Bit of a six-pack, man. Probably wouldn't matter anyway, but here we go. Back to the diagnostic tool. Right. Now, we didn't show the diagnostic. It was in a previous video. If you watched this video, this was kind of the inspection and the feedback, the finale from the injector one. It would have come out probably yesterday if everything goes to plan. Whenever this one comes out, well, the other one will come out yesterday. As you can see, we're at full operating temp. It's idling at 83 degree coolant temp. That's normal. See, middle of the picture, 83. Right, that's the coolant temperature. That's everything being normal. That's why you don't change thermostats on these. If you see 83 there, right, then you're not going to be changing your thermostat. That's what they all do. I shouldn't say all. You get a couple that are slightly different. Maybe they need a thermostat. I've had new thermostats that idle at 85. Told you about that, those that listen. Now, what I wasn't thinking when I did the quick initial diagnostic trying to find a problem, I wasn't looking at this thing here. See this thing here? This thing here needs to be looked at because manual changes the readings. The load's lower. So we saw readings of around 12 and I went, that's not bad. And it's certainly not bad even for a manual, but it explains why I saw that. I'm like, why is all the readings so good? And I'm sort of expecting to see some Baileys or some other counterfeit injectors or something else, right? Anyway, with a manual at full operating temp, the load should be around about 9. So that's what we're seeing, 8 to 9, whatever. Awesome. Let's move it down a little bit further because we're seeing 12, now we're seeing 9. Now, if we had a remap and things like that, a lot of these numbers change. So when we've got new injectors in there and the numbers are weird, okay, then we can go, well, whatever parameters they've adjusted for their tuning, that's what changes the fueling, okay? So on a manual, that's where you take a note because this is what they are. 4.5, 4.6, 4.7. See the injection volume, instead of around 6 with the auto, it's around about 4.5 to 5, okay? That's what it should be. So everything's normal here. So far what I'm seeing, I don't see a remap. I see the feedback values, they're all very good. Instead of seeing number 3 at 2.1.9, 2.1, 2.2, probably higher, but I didn't spend a lot of time on it. It's a quick diagnostic before the job. We want to see if it's really bad or if it's not too bad. We just want to see where it's at. And the readings were pretty bloody good for that amount of kilometers, even though it had blow-by. Now let's just look down a bit further. Remember what I said, the Pilot 1, Pilot 2, they're normally around the 430 mark, okay? So Pilot 1 is, Pilot 2 is still a little bit up there. So I start going, well, what's going on? Maybe the manual, that's what they do. I've got to take a bit more notice, okay? What they give you in the print, in the statistics, in the, what's the word, you know, the data that they give you, it's very anything between this and this. So you don't really get to know exactly what they are and what they should be until you work on them and you look at them a lot and you learn what the actual data is when everything's normal. So this is what normal is because the engine's in good condition. It's got new injectors. Everything's Mickey Mouse. So this is what normal for a 6-speed manual, 2009, 120 Prado. Okay, it'll be different in the 150s. It'll be different in the autos. That's why we've got a whole heap of videos in the diagnostic playlist, and if I remember, I'll pop this one in there as well. The important one, main injection period. Before, it was jumping around a bit all over the place. They do jump around a bit. I've said that before, but it was going up a bit high. It wasn't too bad. It was very good considering the age of the injectors. But main injection period around 5 to 550 is what we like to see. You can see it's jumping a bit either side, but this is what normal is. This is beautiful. That's what it is. This is what you expect it to be. Now let's have a quick look at the timing. Beautiful. 2:14 and 20. And fuel pressure, 30. There you go, 35 is the target, jumping between 33 and 35 generally. Doesn't mean every now and then it's not going to go 31 or 32, or every now and then it might go 36, but that's the normal window. I don't care if Toyota says 30 to 40, no. 30 to 40 might be kind of okay, very generally, that's very loosely, right? I'm telling you in all exactness, looking at hundreds or thousands of these, that when the target fuel pressure is 35, most of the time you're going to see readings between 33 and 35. You might see a 31 or a 36. Anything outside that is what's not normal, okay? Now you might go a little bit, you might go You might say 31's not bad, it's still in spec, and up to 37, right? Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's very abnormal compared to all the other vehicles. For everything to work right, it needs the right fuel pressure at the right time. And I'll remind you, those short suction control valves are rubbish. Now, it gets really interesting. So we're trying to work out if it's had a tune or not, right? So all the readings here tell me, no, this is normal. This hasn't had a tune, hasn't had a remap. I'm looking around. I've got to cover the boy's photo. He's got no shirt on in case any girls. I've given it away already, right? I was going to say, look around all the usual places to find a throttle controller, and you don't see it, right? You don't see it anywhere, but the camera, the sneaky camera, has already found it. See it hidden down there, right? So this is what happens, right? I go for a drive. I go, doesn't seem like a remap. It's got the 4,000 rev thing. It's got no extra pull than any manual I drive any other time, right? And we did another 6-speed manual in the last couple of months, and I drove it, and very much the same. It was just responsive off the mark, right? So I'm not picking on throttle controllers, but I'm just trying to share with you my line of thought. So it doesn't blow smoke like a remap. It hasn't got readings on the diagnostic tool like a remap. Okay. The owner thinks it's got a remap. His mates think it's got a remap. My assistant said it's definitely got a remap. And he's about to get the surprise because I haven't spoken to him yet. I've come back, I've parked, I'm in the vehicle still, and I'm finishing off this video. So what I'm going to do is tell him it hasn't got a remap, it's got something else, and he can come and have another look. So what happened was, so I've done the initial drive. It didn't seem like a remap, but it could be. Let's get the injectors out and see if they're not 30% nozzles from the B word, you know? Not the C word, the B word. No, they were all okay, it's all good. There's no smoke. There's nothing on the diagnostic that says remap. So then I go, well, I'm literally driving down this road and I go, what's going on? There's got to be, I'm thinking to myself, has someone plugged in a throttle controller and rolled it up and tucked it all in behind the kick trim? Because you wouldn't even know you got it there. You don't need to adjust it. You just whack it on U5, and good way to sell your car, make it feel like a really good one, doesn't it? Because it's a bit of a trick because nobody knows it's there. And I'm about to stop and check if there's something plugged in. So what do? I decide to start taking a bit of a peek around, and I twist the head around and I go, there you are. So I pull over the side of the road and I have a look, and I can tell you it's on. You can't see it. Look, it's on U5, right? It's on U5. So I turn it off. I put it to the 2 lines, which is off. It's not doing anything. I drive the car. Yep, back to driving like a normal 1KD 6-speed manual with a bit of extra lag because it's got the big exhaust there. And which is what they do, unfortunately, which is why then he had to go and get the throttle controller. Anyway, so of course, then I'll put it back onto U5, so it's how the client wants it, and we're going to advise everybody that's what it is. So it hasn't got a remap is the good news. Throttle controllers, they're optional if you like. Basically, it's just like pushing the accelerator a lot harder, but it does give you, I understand, it does give you a good sense of feeling, this sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you know, so that's good, you know. It's, if that's what people want, beautiful. Anyway, that's a bada boom, bada bing. The readings are awesome. The vehicle drives well, drives even better with a U5. That's the outcome of the whole injector job, the diagnostic, the inspection, and the job went well, and happy days. Thanks for watching, guys. Smash that like button if you learnt something out of it, and you know, subscribe, turn the bell on if you like the video and you want to see more. Catch ya.